We're now into day 7 of that partial government shutdown gripping the United States, and there's still no compromise in sight over the funding for President Donald Trump's plans for the Mexico border wall. Now, both chambers of Congress convened for only a few minutes last night, but took no steps to end the shutdown before adjourning until next week. It all comes as a new opinion poll shows that public support for the wall could be waning. Well, let's get more on this now from our journalist Damon Embling. Damon, a complicated political knot. Why is the US so tied up with this?
Well, it's a real problem that's continuing, a real headache for Donald Trump right now. As you say, it's the 7th day of this partial shutdown, and it all centers on this $5 billion that Donald Trump wants to get through the Congress in spending plans to fund this Mexico-US wall that he promised as part of his election campaign to tackle illegal immigration. But he's facing some real stiff opposition from both the Democrats and the Republicans as well. And the fact is that if he can't get these spending plans through Congress, which this $5 billion is part of, is basically freezing the funding for these parts of government that have now been frozen, because we have around 20% of government departments in this sort of stalemate at the moment. And Alex, the sort of real human cost of that is hundreds of thousands of federal workers in the US right now are either on unpaid leave or don't know when they're going to get their next wage packet. So clearly this is troubling times for those individuals, and it's been a tough time for them over Christmas. As you would expect in America, this is all playing out on social media. Let's have a look at a couple of tweets that have come in overnight after these chambers adjourned yesterday without making any move to break the impasse. Senator Dick Durbin, Democratic senator, said, "No end in sight to the president's government shutdown. He's taken our government hostage over his outrageous demand for a $5 billion border wall that will be both wasteful and ineffective." So that's kind of summing up really the Democratic opposition that there is to this. Donald Trump's not been silent, of course. He's responded to this on Twitter as well. Let's take a look at one of his tweets that came out last night. He was saying, "Have the Democrats finally realised that we desperately need border security and a wall on the southern border? Do the Dems realise that most of the people not getting paid are Democrats?" So Donald Trump's standing firm, but some of his Republican Party are standing firm against him as well. Let's listen now to the acting chair of the Senate, a Republican.
Well, there is a sense of urgency, without question. All of us, I've been through, this is the 5th shutdown I've been through. And I don't know of any one of them yet that's been successful. So it would be advisable if we could possibly follow what the Reverend said, the chaplain said, that let us put, personal things aside and work together, and let's see if we can't get something done.
Can't get something done. So, politicians tied in knots. What about the public?
Well, you think Donald Trump had a lot of support for this Mexico wall. After all, he swept to power with this as one of his key priorities. But public opinion could be changing. One poll has just come out overnight, and it's showing more Americans blame Trump rather than the congressional Democrats for this partial shutdown of government. Let's look at a couple of the key findings of that poll. It was saying that just 35% questioned said they backed cash going into this spending bill that I was talking about for the Mexico border wall, and only 25% said they supported Trump shutting down the government over all of this. So if this poll is anything to go by in terms of the wider public opinion, it does seem that the public opinion is turning against Donald Trump. He wants a wall on the Mexico-US border, but Alex, he's facing a big wall of his own right now. Is he going to climb over it? I don't know.